There's a secret power that all successful people have, but very few people talk about it or recognize that this is where success comes from because it is something that is so simple. But every successful person has it. As we continue to go through the Laws of Success book and talk about the principles that were presented that create success over 100 years ago, and how do we apply the time tested principles in order to be able to create the success in your life that you're looking for? Today, we're going to be going over lesson 13. If you want to catch any of the previous lessons, I have them all together. You can go through and catch the previous lessons on how to create success. But today's lesson is all about cooperation and how do we combine efforts so that you can create the success in your life that you're looking for. So as we go through and talk about cooperation, Napoleon Hill talks about two different kinds of cooperation, and you have to have both of them in order to be able to create success. The first one is an internal coordination, an internal connection. When we have a connection internally, it allows us to be in alignment with where it is that we are going and what it is that you want to create. Now, he calls this the dual system, but essentially what it is your sympathetic nervous system, which is pretty much everything subconscious. This is the way that your body digests food. This is the way that your body processes information. All happens in the sympathetic nervous system. That has to be combined and paired with the cerebral spinal system, which is how your body interprets all of the information coming in through your senses. So the things that you're tasting, the things that you hear, the smells, the sights, the sounds, all of these things, how they come together, and then the movement that happens because of those senses. So when we talk about this internal collaboration, it is all about the things that you think, the things that are going on in the subconscious, and how that translates to what it is that you're actually doing. When you are doing the things that are in alignment with what it is that you want to create, that is what this internal connection is all about. Can you have alignment between the things that you think and the things that you do, between the inspiration that you have and the things that you create in life? Are those things in alignment? This coordination between the subconscious and the conscious mind is absolutely critical in order for you to be able to achieve success. It all comes down to, are you in alignment on the inside? That's the first coordination that you have to have, or the first cooperations that we have to have in order to be able to create success. Now, the second place that we have cooperation all comes down to external relationships, the ability to connect with someone on the outside. Having an internal alignment is super important, but we often are stuck with a lot of limitations based on what it is that we can do. What are your strengths? What are your gifts, your talents, and all of those kind of things are important, but it falls short of all of the areas in order to be able to create success. This cooperation comes down to, can you connect with someone else who has natural gifts and talents and things that they have developed in order to be able to achieve that desired outcome faster than you could on your own? When we're able to create these external coordinations between us and someone else, it helps us to be able to achieve the success that we are looking for. Now, Napoleon Hill says power is organized knowledge expressed through intellectual effort. There is a deep power that comes when you are able to coordinate your efforts with someone else, to organize that power into something that's going to help you be able to generate the outcome that you're looking for. There is this multiplying effect that happens when you bring people together to work towards a common goal, to work towards something that's going to help you be able to create this. Now, I've been researching a few different things, but there was a story that really stood out to me that I wanted to share around this cooperation. There was a man back in the 70s. He actually was a professor in Bangladesh, and he was teaching about economics and the power of combining forces and what that does to the economy. But he noticed that there was a gap between what he was teaching in the classroom and what was actually happening around him, because there was so much poverty. There was so many people who fell short on this economic scale. And he thought there's got to be a way to come at this differently. And so he started pooling together, and he wanted to be able to try this experiment on what it means to create this social pressure, bring people together. And so he presented this idea to the banks that were there and said, okay, we want to be able to change the economic situation of people. And there were people who were trying to get little businesses up and going off the ground, everything from a dairy farm to basket weaving to doing something like making stools out of bamboo. And so he thought, well, if we can give them a small loan that they will just repay, so it's not anything big, doesn't have huge interest rates, then they actually might be able to get ahead and pull themselves out of poverty. But the banks all laughed at them, said, these are the people who aren't going to repay their loans. They're not going to make a difference. It's too risky to give loans to them. And so he took all of the things that he understood about economics and this idea of cooperation, and he formed a new business venture, this new banking adventure. And he pulled people together, these different investors, and he said, okay, if we're going to give loans, which 90% of the loans that they gave out were to women who in the late 70s, early 80s, women were not involved in the financial institutions at all. They oftentimes couldn't get loans, had to get loans through their husbands or something like that. But he said, no, we are going to give these loans to a women. And they had 16 things that they were required to do if they wanted to receive these micro loans. And what he did is he brought these people together in small groups. Typically, there were about 5 women who came together, and they helped support one another. And so they would get a loan of $25 to $30, not anything outrageous. And he said, okay, you have now this social pressure to repay. They had small interest rates that allowed them to continue to move forward, but there was a 98% repay rate on every loan that they put out. Millions and millions of dollars now have gone out to help these people who have been in this impoverished situation. And they just took these micro loans. But because of the way that he put people together, that they had the social support that they needed, that they had encouragement from one another, 98% repay rate on all of their loans. Now, if you've done anything in finances, that's absolutely unheard of. That number is so high. Oftentimes the repayments are the things that make finances so risky, because people don't repay their loans and then you can't continue business. But they had such a huge repay rate on these loans that it started changing lives and pulling people out of poverty, because they understood what it meant to be able to cooperate, to pull people together, to build this social trust and allow that to be the thing that encourages them to repay their loans. And so there was huge success. They actually won a Nobel Prize because of the business model that they set up. And it was all based on this principle of cooperation, about working together to be able to create a common desired outcome, to make that to bring that into reality. And so these principles work. It just requires you to look around at what are the things that you are doing? Where is it that you want to create success? If you can create success through this law of collaboration, this law of cooperation, then it puts you into a place where you can achieve anything that you set your desire to. Napoleon Hill put together this cooperation framework that you can apply to any business, to any venture that you're doing, whether that is something in your home, something in your business, whether you are coaching or doing something in finances. This framework is going to work every time, and it's going to lead you to this place of success. So the framework begins, one, with this desired outcome. Do you know what it is that you want to create? Once you understand where it is that you're going and what it is that you're wanting to create. Now, if you haven't listened to the law of success on desired outcome, I highly recommend that you go and listen to that, because that's going to help you in this step of applying this law of cooperation to help you be able to move forward on where it is that you want to go. Once you understand where it is that you're going, then the second step is to go in and say, who do I need in my space to help me be able to reach those things? Do you know who the members are that are going to help you be able to create that? You want to look for people who have different strengths than you do, so you can excel at your strength and they can excel in theirs. Choose your members wisely. When you understand who it is that you're collaborating with and you're working together to create the same desired outcome, then you're able to move that needle forward in order to be able to create success. The third thing is to set very, very clear expectations. What is the role that you are playing? I know what I need to do. They know what they need to do. And that is both working us together to be able to create that desired outcome. You also want to set up reporting so that you know that other people are doing what they say that they're going to be doing, and that you are doing what you say you're going to be doing. Those expectations and how this collaboration is going to be working is absolutely critical in order to be able to create success. Do you know what it is that you need to do? All right. The fourth thing is to create momentum. Every decision that you make in life is either based in inaction or action. And do you know what it is that you are working towards? As I'm working with clients and we're going through and figuring out what is going on and they're trying to make decisions, it always can be boiled down to there is an action or an inaction. If you are choosing someone to collaborate with and they struggle with procrastination, they struggle with decision making, and I just don't know what is the best option. This is the place where failure is often met because we don't take the action in order to be able to create the success in your life that you're looking for. Now, next week, we're going to be talking about failure and what do you do with all of that. So make sure you pay attention and come back and visit us for that lesson next week. But this all comes down to, do you know how to create momentum and do the small steps every day that are moving you forward? This also comes down to reciprocity. This lesson that we talked about a couple of weeks ago about doing more than what you're actually paid for. Are you giving first before you're expecting to receive? This actually is going to allow you to create the momentum that you're looking for as you're moving towards success, whether that's success in business or any other area of your life. When you are moving forward and you're working towards creating that momentum, it helps us to be able to be paired with someone to multiply the efforts that we have, that the momentum that you're creating is not just on your own 2 feet, but the momentum that comes from multiple people. The next thing is to maintain a positive attitude. A lot of times when we are working towards success, you're looking for success in your coaching business. You're looking for success in the products that you're offering. Success happens not because you sit and stew, but because you get up and you move and you have a positive attitude. Remember, we talked about at the very beginning, we talked about creating alignment internally. You can't be focused on creating success and having all of the things that you want and also complaining that nothing is working, that it's never going to happen for you, that things are too hard. When we sit and complain about things, it pulls us out of alignment. That's where we started. You have to be in alignment with what it is that you are creating. A positive mental attitude is going to help get you to that point where you can create success. And oftentimes that puts us in a place where we have to go into denial because things aren't working out the way that we thought they would. But you know what it is that you're capable of creating. And so you stay in alignment internally first. Everything from your subconscious to your conscious mind is an alignment that this is where we're going. This is what success looks like. This is how I create it. When we have that alignment, then this step of creating a positive mental attitude actually becomes easy and it's just second nature. This is what we mean when we say success comes automatically. In the Neuro Success program that you guys can have access to, this is what it comes down to. We have alignment subconsciously and consciously, and now everything is just moving forward because that positive mental attitude is always in alignment with what it is that you are creating. The next thing comes down to reflection. You have to know, is this cooperation working? Do we have the right pieces? Do we have the right people? Do we have everything in place? If you can reflect on what it is that you're doing and take the steps to improve the areas that tend to fall short, now we are on our way of creating faster momentum because we have the things in place to help us be able to move. If you have this ability to reflect and stay in a positive mental attitude, then that is going to put you into a place where success becomes inevitable and you will create that automatic success that you've been looking for. Now, the last thing is to leverage the collective power. Napoleon Hill talks a lot about this idea behind a mastermind, that when two people come together, that it is now not just two brains working together, but there's actually a third brain that comes because of this collective power that we create within ourselves. And so this idea that ideas come and inspiration comes because we are working together. Can you leverage that? This is where success really starts to take off because you are utilizing the strengths, the gifts, the talents that have been given to you in this place where you are multiplying what it is that you can bring to the table. When we look at the most successful people, there's always been a mastermind behind what it is that they do. Now, you can go and pay for a mastermind and pay thousands of dollars every month to create that. Or you can go in and say, I need to be working with one other person. But you have to follow these steps to this framework in order to be able to create that collaboration, to be successful, hold each other accountable, have specific times that you get together each week that you go through and say, this is what I'm doing in order to be able to create that. This is what I'm doing in order to create that desired outcome. You have to leverage the things in this framework if you want success to happen in your life and in your business.